morning. Welcome to Fallawsophy. I'm your host, Jennifer Fallaw-Doering, and today I've just got sticky notes and notes on my phone and everything that I can think of this morning, on and on and on, to put the pieces of this puzzle together for you that we call the plan. Do my best. But right now, that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing the enemy being surrounded. And it's, they've always said, nothing can stop what's coming, and this is a movie. It's starting to look that way. Maybe not entirely scripted, because, in life, you cannot plan everything, and there's always something that pops up that you weren't thinking about that you have to handle. So it's a moving plan, but it is a plan. The puzzle pieces are starting to come together to form the picture, and in hindsight is 2020. Prophets, psychics, those who try to receive divine guidance for themselves, but especially those that do it for a living. The longer that you do it, the more you are trained to be observant and to put the pieces together to form the picture. And along the way, you hope that you get confirmations. And then when you get a confirmation, more starts to make sense. So let's start out here with the Gentel that I got yesterday on Real News Live with Mike Barra. On Real News Live with Mike and Jen on Rumble. If you guys want to pick that up every Monday and Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific. I went into meditation. That's what I do. I talk to the Most High, more of a prophet than anything. I just don't like the ego attached to the title. So I just say that I'm me and I do what I do. But I go and I talk to God, Jesus, and his divine helpers and archangels in meditation. I call it interdimensional meditation. And if you're new to me, just stick around before you make any judgments. Okay. I'm hoping some of my admin, my wrenches, are here this morning to handle the chats on YouTube. Facebook won't let me stream there anymore. Jerks. So we're not going to play with Facebook anymore because they are jerks. So let's start out with a Genfeld for yesterday. All right. If you missed it, this is new to you. If you were there, it's review. If you just caught the write-up that I put up on Fallawsophy on Telegram and Jennifer Fallaw-Doering on Telegram, then you're going to get the explanation. Okay, so this is interdimensional meditation, and this was for July 1st, 2024. And I met with Archangel Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, and Haniel. And I asked, why is RV News? Why is it so quiet? I saw Germany, different flashes of pictures, and I'm like, am I in Germany? And then I finally see the traditional dress. And said they are waiting for bond clients' funds to clear to complete the tier. There was a delay in funding overseas. I said, what is the delay? Gabriel said it had to do with fluctuations in bond markets. Some transactions were seen. Now, this part of the RV has to be private. We have to keep it under the radar because they want the dollar to crash so that we can move into Nasara Jasara. They don't want monies on ledger and so that can't be seen. So somehow he said this can interrupt something with target estimations for currency rates. They are working to ensure bond payments remain off ledger. So if you need the dollar to be low, And somehow this was going to prop it up. And you need it to be at a certain place so that you can get a certain rate. And maybe there's contracts out there saying for redemption centers or with the Treasury that say, okay, this is our window, this is our rate, approximate rate that we're going to get. This has to be handled correctly. And so that was the holdup. May have pushed this off a couple days. Let's see. My screen just in my back. I'm just gonna put it out there. If they cut me off, they cut me off. Okay. Best estimations for notifications now would probably be late Thursday night, not in the middle of the fireworks or in the middle of your celebration. Everybody's gonna miss it. Nobody's looking at their email, so it's smart. So it would probably be late Thursday night. You'd wake up to it probably Friday morning. That's what I originally saw, is that they came out on a Friday for individual people and readings. Okay. Yesterday I put out what I thought, psychically, what the estimate was at this point in time, and if nothing happens to screw it up, of notifications coming out around Friday. Into the weekend, they make people are calling to make their appointments. I saw the first day for appointments would probably be the 9th through the 13th. That is lining up with what everybody else is saying. Okay. As of this moment in time, if things aren't where they need to be, so that this thing can go through smoothly and behind the scenes, they'll probably move it. He said Thursday is a big day. I said why? He said announcements, and there's also something about world trade tied into that. In the news this week, I do this one basically so we can get some idea of what's coming, but as someone who counsels people spiritually and gets the answers for them, confirmation is key so that you're doing a good job. Okay? So in the news this week, these are bullet points. And with this stuff, I hear things, I see things. And now understand, everything always comes through my own brain. I don't hear voices outside of myself. That would scare the crap out of me. I keep it divine, keep it God-centered. All right. When you receive information as somebody like that, you're gonna have to get through your own filters. You're gonna have to get out of your own way. You're gonna have to get past what you can handle and can't handle, what you believe and what you don't believe, and what you want to happen and don't want to happen. And so it is not an exact science. It is hard to do. That part of it is hard to do and takes experience. But this is what I got. Bullet Street Falls. Okay, am I back? All right. What's going on? We don't have a storm. I'll just pause if that happens again so you don't miss anything. So you didn't miss anything. On my end, it looks like I'm blacking out. There's no picture. Let me check the chat, make sure everything's cool before I continue. Okay. Everybody seems to be there. Everything's cool. All right. Bullet points. Wall Street falls. Second one, trade with foreign markets. Third, WTO. So something's going on in the news. Now, in the news means either the mainstream media or the news that we see, the chatter. Then I saw fire on the ground as if like I was there. And I looked over to the side and I see papers burning. So hopefully nobody destroys any kind of evidence. Let's keep an eye out for that. If things are suddenly starting on fire and in odd places, let's keep an eye out for that. It looked as if something had blown up. Next bullet point, Biden fired. Let's hope for that. But we're going to talk a lot about that. Then I saw a stack of paperwork. I don't know if it was. And then I heard contracts ending. So I don't know if these are separate bullet points or if they're related, but stacks of information, stacks of paperwork coming out. Then I heard something that sounded like push for unionization. Could have got that wrong. Grain of salt on that. And then I heard troops on the ground in the USA. Next bullet point, inflation numbers revealed. And then a push for change globally. Rising seas false. So, if we got stacks of paperwork and we got rising seas false, they're going to start revealing a whole bunch of lies, whole bunch of corruption. And then I saw Hunter Biden, and from him, these lines go out to other bullet points, okay, all around. And so, and his connections to him. So keep an eye out for information on that. Then I got earthquake or earthquakes Pacific Rim. Okay. We don't get any warning about earthquakes. It's not like a tornado or anything, but look out for news for that. Somehow, all these bullet points is what we'll see in the news, and the purpose of that, the confirmations, is actually for you to keep going, to have for me, yeah. But confirmations are help you know that all right, we got some divine guidance coming through here. Well, if maybe some of this is true, maybe the other stuff is true too. So that's, and also if there's anything we need to be aware of, you know. All right, how are we going to do this? I've got notes and thoughts everywhere. And hopefully I'll put this together in a way that makes sense and not leave anything out. Thoughts over coffee. All right, where do I begin? This morning, I asked Gabriel, people are having a hard time believing that the RV would happen, that you could hold currency that are of low value right now and turn them in at a point in time, and it would be valuable. Much more valuable than what you bought it for. And so we know, and we've talked about how they have to pull, I've been saying it over and over, they have to pull in the currency that is out there. And people say, well, why? Why don't they just go to gold and say, sorry, those are no good anymore. Those bonds, those are no good anymore. Sucks for you. And what he said to me is something I had not heard before. And I don't know if it's actually correct. But when he does this, Archangel Gabriel, messenger, God's messenger, and he is good. He was the one who announced to Mary that she would have a son. And he showed me that. And that is real. That is true. All right. what he said to me today is right to reserve. Right to reserve is the reason why they have to pull the cash in before they go to a new currency. And I said, right to reserve, what does that mean? I kind of looked it up and I was like, okay. And I asked again and I said, why? What do you mean by right to reserve? He says, fiat currency is a debt instrument. And so I looked it up. Let's go over that. That's what I do when they say things I don't completely understand. Fiat currencies such as dollars, pounds, euros, yen can be considered debt instruments. This is because they are issued in exchange for value binding transactions, such as when a bank extends a loan to a customer. The consumer then repays the debt with goods and labor, which creates value borrowed currency. In addition to banknotes issued by central banks, are banknotes issued by central banks are considered, oh my God, I touched something. Wait a minute. There we go. Are considered debt to their holders. The coins circulating as legal tender are considered debt. Liabilities of issuing states. Banks also classify currency as debt on their balance sheet, regardless of whether it's physical or digital. Some say that money is also debt in the form of implicit contract between an individual and society. In this contract, the individual gives something of value in exchange for a token that they can use in the future to get something else of value. If they have consumers carrying banknotes in their wallets hardly think of themselves as creditors. Nonetheless, banknotes represent the central bank's debt to the banknote holders. So before you can wipe out fiat currency, you got to bring it all in. Why are the collectors? Why are Tier 4B? Why are the bondholders? Why is everybody so important? Because they have to give you something for that debt. They got to pay the debts before they can move on. That's why the RV is the beginning of Nasara Jasara. That's why it is important. That is why it is real. How do we know it's real? Because of BRICS. Because everybody in the world is signing up for BRICS and plans to go to gold. What do they have to do before that? They got to pull in all the instruments of debt, get them off the books, paid out, so they can move over to a new system. Now, it is a blessing to us. The blessing is that you were notified ahead of time, probably by God, in your own life path, to get involved. There's the blessing. Nobody's giving you anything. Because of the system that we were living under for, 100 years, more, really not sure of the date, but they have to do this. And what does that tell you? It tells you that Nasara Jasara is real. We have proof in writing of these other countries joining BRICS. They plan to do this. Could they do that and the United States not do that? No. No, the United States will eventually have to do that, or we will fail as a country. Our currency will fail. We will not be able to do business with the rest of the world. We will not be able to compete. We will not be able to play ball. So, because the dollar is the reserve currency of the world and used in so many places, that is a big RV. That is why the United States is going to gold last. Okay? All these other countries are going to gold. They've got documentation, they got contracts, they have plans. They've got rates. They've got contracts with the Treasury, our Treasury, with their Treasury, with everything to do this. Why they got to pull the bonds in? They got to fund the RV. Why do they have to pull everything in? Because they got to pay the debts for the fiat. It's not some pipe dream somebody dreamed up in somebody's basement. A lot of, send your spouses to this video. Because the only reason they don't believe you is because they've been living in the fiat system their entire life. And it does sound like a pipe dream. Oh, no, you can never get ahead. Person with the most credit wins. That's been true. They don't understand that this is not a fantasy. This is real. And from what we've seen, the puzzle pieces worldwide, politically and financially, are coming together in such a way to support the entire thing. So I started looking back. I started thinking about it. If Trump had stayed, what do we need the dollar to do to justify changing the system? What do we need currency worldwide to do to justify changing their system? We need it to crash. We need it to fall. We need inflation. We need problems. Now, if Trump had stayed in office, what would have happened to the dollar? What would have happened to the economy? He would have fixed it. 4 years of Trump. Yeah, they would have been throwing slings and arrows, but I mean, look what he did in a short period of time before the pandemic. There would be no need to change the system. Or could he just have gone to gold and changed it? Well, it's really best to do that worldwide, isn't it? It's kind of a ripple effect, if you get the whole world doing that, everybody's currencies are going to be affected. Everything is connected. And if he had stayed in, would we be where we are to accomplish this? No. So even though it looked like, oh my God, the plan, the Q post, everything's out of whack, it's not working, that plan must be over, nothing's happening, oh my God, we've lost. Had we? And if it is true, from what I got, from other people have said, that Trump is, I don't know what you call him, chief financial officer of the financial part of the alliance. As president of the United States, would you have enough freedom to do that work? No. President's watched every minute. Everything's recorded. Everything's watched. He had to walk away and do this part of it. All right, let's put all the thoughts together that I was thinking about. Okay. People are always focused on how we're going to get him back in, right? I think it's important that he's out right now because all of these other things can line up. He's been cast as a hero that will come back and save us all, pretty much. And if they were to crash the economy when he's in office, would he be able to do the important work that he needs to do at this leg of the journey when he does get back in? No. He would have blamed for it. He would have crucified. Would the other side... They needed Biden to come in to show that the old guard, the old structure, is falling and not working anymore, and it's completely corrupt all the way to the top. So he had to leave. Now, way back, and I believe it was 2017, Trump went around and visited everywhere in the world. Why do you do that? Trade? Then I don't remember when Phil God Lucy came on the scene. It was after that, but I think he was pretty busy with the Q post at that time. But he did a live, and he was talking about. See, when Phil God Lucy came on the scene, what did he say? He was invited to participate in a call. And on that call, there was Donald Trump talking in the background. And what did he say? How are the negotiations going? At the time, we weren't looking at the financial. We were all looking at the political. And we assumed, oh, he's talking about the bad guys, about getting them out and everything else. Hindsight's 2020. He was talking about the financial. He was negotiating rates. He was negotiating this RV. Because the ultimate goal, you really want to win against the enemy, you got to take their power. What is their power? The central banks, the fiat system, the money. And everybody, they can control everybody with it. And so they can put up walls and smoke screens and control the media, and they can control everybody with their money system, and they can get away with a whole bunch of shit. Okay? It wasn't about the economy right then. It was about Nasara Jassara. It was about the rates that were negotiated, and that went on for a while. And if you know anything about Trump, if he doesn't get what he wants, he'll wait. He'll wait. Then they had to let Biden do his thing. How many actors did we have for Biden? I don't freaking know. Probably 4 at least. The current one deserves an Academy Award because that's hilarious. Okay, doesn't even crack a smile. I mean, that's hilarious. That guy is good, who's ever in there. And one day they'll pay off the actor when they're done with him. Gotta take his mask off and he'll ride off into sunset. Nobody ever know who he was. And you said, oh, that sounds ridiculous. If you're intuitive at all, you put up 2 pictures. One of the real Joe Biden. And maybe a few along the way. And you'll know the difference when you look deep in those eyes. Don't look in the real Joe Biden's eyes for too long, okay? Because what I see there is rage. I mean, like evil rage. Bad. And one day they asked me to look at one of the actors that was working at that time as him. And I saw and heard military intelligence. This isn't a regular actor. This is someone who has been trained. This is somebody with the discipline that goes along with deep military intelligence. I'm telling you, this someday, if we ever find out the real story, probably won't, but it's a good one. So back then, what they went around and did is they got rid of and arrested the big obstacles, the major players, people with a lot of power. And then they called in their team of actors to put on the mask. And that's what we've been dealing with now. Whether everybody was in on it along the way, if the whole thing was controlled or just part of it, just the important parts, so it didn't get too bad. I think they needed to allow some room for others to reveal who they really are and start taking them out one by one, or to ruin the economy, to ruin it all. Well, what was their big plan? Their big plan was the Great Reset, Agenda 2020 that turned into Agenda 2030 or whatever. Okay? Even so there's always going to be minions running around in the woodwork that you don't know are there. Okay? And somehow they unleashed a pandemic. I do not, in good conscience, believe that the White Hats allowed us to go through a pandemic, but I do think that once it happened, they switched out. I think there was a worse virus that we were going to get, and they switched it out for something that wouldn't be so bad. And tried to handle that, and they had Trump at the helm to handle that, so it didn't get. I mean, yeah, a lot of people died, but a lot of people die from the flu every year too. So that part of it I don't know everything about, but the puzzle pieces at this point in time are starting to come together. There are individuals that we know of over time, over this entire operation, that have massive amounts of information about the crimes of individuals at the top and in very important places. Horrific crimes. And people ask themselves, well, why wasn't this revealed in the beginning? Because the financial wasn't set up yet. That's a huge undertaking worldwide. And if that is the flag that we need to capture, we just need to put that stuff on hold. We need to let them ruin the country so that the dollar gets to a place where everybody is like, well, there's nothing we can do. We got to go to gold. I'll tell you, it's pretty bad. Everybody else is going to gold. We got to do it. So they do that. So they put in this actor in place, and everything changed at a certain point in time. All the bad guys were awfully quiet. Where's the celebration? Where's the, evil rants and all the, oh, we're winners and we've got control of everything? Don't you think that if they had control of everything, that the Great Reset would have already happened? Yeah. Yeah, they would have got that done real quick. Let's see. So before the 2020 election, I was asked to ask who would be running by Mike Barra. And at the time, nobody was talking about Joe Biden. And it was a surprise to me. And I'm like, well, I'll put this out there. I might be an idiot, but I'll put it out. And I asked Archangel Gabriel, I said, who's going to run against Trump? He said, Joe Biden. And I was like, he's not even said that he's going to do that. And then all of a sudden, there's Joe Biden. I asked after the 2020 election, when will we know the true results of the election? Because we're all thinking, well, it's going to happen any day now, Can't tell us everything's going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay, And Gabriel said 5 years. And I'm like, I don't even want to tell people that. But I did. Well, it hasn't been 5 years. So that's kind of why I don't think the Supreme Court that's going to come out and reverse everything all of a sudden, because it won't be enough. It won't be enough. First of all, we're at a point in time where all the army, the good guys' army, is coming in and circling around the bad guy, which is the central bank, which is the fiat system, which is the power behind everything. You can't have that right now. Can you imagine the chaos from the minions left over to do it that way? It all has to line up perfectly. I mean, could they? So I don't think that just stealing election is going to do it for the masses, because there's been so much misinformation and lies put out there that that is a conspiracy theory and that is a coup and that is. And so how do you do this so that people will still believe in some form of government? How do you do this so that there's still good guys out there, but take care of the bad ones? How do you reveal what's really been going on, and probably just enough for the public to handle? Well, for years, a person or a frontman in an operation called Assange has been in jail. And now he's not. Then today, I gotta go to the phone because I wrote that down over here. I don't want to misquote anything. Text to myself. There it is. No dead air, no dead air, no dead air. Who is it that, what the hell is his name? Damn menopause. It's not Assange. Type it. What's the guy's name that came out today? The information, whoever didn't kill himself. I just lost it. Epstein. There it is. All right. All right. So now Epstein, information has been is coming out about Epstein. Like, yeah. How coincidental. Wow. We've got inside reports of the entire financial thing coming to a head for a while. Okay? You got your surface level talking about the dollar and the problems and how we need to go to gold and all this other stuff. You got behind the scenes where they're cashing in bonds, and that happened. I'm telling you. We're finishing that up right now. We're about to go into 4B, which is the people that have a lot of these debt instruments for other countries that need to be returned to that country so that they can proceed with BRICS. We've got the political lining up. We've got Joe Biden going out for an early debate to show everyone how feeble he is and how compromised we are as a country with somebody at the helm. And he doesn't have a nuclear football, but supposedly with a nuclear football. Now, in what strange universe do you suppose that would ever be allowed to have a president of the United States who's a dementia patient? It wouldn't. It wouldn't. So we have to start taking a look at this and this. You see how it's all coming in around that hill that's got the flag on the top. We need to capture the flag. Because the political now and the financial system worldwide are all connected. So, we went through the weekend, and not a lot happens on the weekend, okay? We've gotten used to that. Oh, maybe it happened on Sunday. No, it didn't happen on Sunday. It's always like a Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday when stuff happens. Sounds like banker's hours to me. Sounds like government hours to me. And And everybody got discouraged because they feel like, oh my God, is anything happening? I need somebody to call me and to tell me they got money, or I need something to hit me in the face to tell me that this is all real. It's not hitting you in the face. It's coming in at all directions and it's surrounding you. Take a look at it logically. Where do we go from here? We win. That's where we go from here. How could they put out in 17 a phrase that says, nothing can stop what's coming? God wins. If they did not have assurances, how could a president so tortured as Donald Trump, so attacked, is a human being really that strong without assurances? No. At some point in time, he could have just said, you know what? I'm going to pass the baton because they're trying to kill me. They're trying to put me in jail. It just never ends. But along the way, if you take a look at him, yeah, he's a strong individual and he has a good poker face. But a lot of times when somebody's putting on a happy face, you can see it behind their eyes. You can see them crumbling. And he never has. Never seemed that concerned. Because he knows. Now, does he know the entire plan? I don't know. But I do believe that he has a huge team that is involved with this plan around him. And everybody's got their specialties. And somebody's got the script. And as we move towards the 4th of July, I don't know if it's going to happen on the 4th of July. We always do that. I don't know if everything's going to boom, everything's okay now. Life isn't like that. War isn't like that. And this is a war. You got to surround the enemy. And you got to move fast and strike when everything is in order, when everything is in place. So they got no way out. And right now, from what I see, that's what's happening. So however they decide to pull Biden out, that's what I want to talk about too. How are they going to do that? How are they going to do that? The Supreme Court always seemed too easy to me. Or Biden having a heart attack and passing away. They may do that. But what do we got left? We got Kamala still. I mean, they may use the Supreme Court to expose and take him out because of the 2020 election. I guess that'd be pretty easy. I think the Supreme Court is controlled as well, to a certain extent. But what if and if that is the white hats, is that's the way they play the game? I think it's highly interesting that Assange and Epstein information is coming out now. And what does that tell me? They're ready for the financial to proceed. So what do we need to do the tail end of this RV thing? We need a smokescreen. We need to monopolize the news cycle worldwide with a whole bunch of stuff or something major. So be on the lookout for something to happen. I think it might be an information storm. And if there's so much information about the current actor in the White House and his administration, No matter where you turn, he's got to go, and everyone with him has got to go. And if we were to reveal all of these crimes, maybe not all of them because they're pretty bad, enough, if we were to reveal the crimes, would it then be more acceptable that they could have possibly stolen the election? And then could that come out then? But see, if they do that, then Donald Trump is back in, and that's why I don't think it's going to happen with the Supreme Court. I don't really know, but I'm just putting pieces together over here. If they did that and Donald Trump was back in, they could possibly question the information that comes out. They could possibly say this is a coup. They could say, well, he's being attacked by Biden and they're trying to put him in jail and it's right before he's supposed to be sentenced, and maybe he fabricated all of this and maybe it's still not true. Okay? I don't know. I mean, could it be that all this information comes out? The administration's pulled out. Biden character's paid off and he rides off the sunset and they say he died anyway. I don't know. I just know that if you take a good look, maybe you could put the pieces together for yourself. Because they're just all the circle is coming in and moving in towards the middle. To capture that flag, the troops are all around. Do we have minions on the ground? Yeah. And that's why Trump keeps talking about the border. It's not really about social security. I mean, that's valid, the social security and everything else. It's not really about that. He keeps talking about our safety. That is because there will always be villains, and you will never know where they always are, or where they are, hiding. And for years, they've been flooding our country with the invisible enemy, waiting to get paid to create chaos, and they will show up as anybody. Or maybe you won't even see them at all, and things will just blow up. The reason why we need that the RV is so important is because of right to reserve. They have to pay the debts before they can move forward. And if they cannot move forward because they didn't pay the debts, then they can't go to gold, and that's a problem. Okay? Because the fiat currency is crashing. The dollar, at least. And we don't have a lot of time. And they keep propping it up to give themselves more time, but we don't have a lot of time. We got to do this. Everybody else has to do it first. And so they're lining up to solve the political problems. And I really think it's all going to happen at once. I do. But they've got to have a window there where everybody's talking about it. Something's happening one by one. Boom, 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 boom. The dominoes fall. We're over here in the RV appointments. And then it's like, oh my God, Biden's out, or whatever happened, or the dollar crashed, or the stock market crashed, or whatever. Everything's going, oh, everybody else is going to gold. Now the dollar just crashed. So major chaos all at once. So they pulled him out. They get Grassley, and I always saw Grassley coming in. That was, maybe that's changed, but I always saw him at a podium with generals behind him and the head of the Treasury addressing the public. And it looks like the White House Rose Garden. I'm not sure, but it's like white behind it. And he comes up to the podium and he says, this is what's happened, and this is what we're going to do. You know how Grassley, I just love him. I don't know if he's bad. I don't think so. But just reminds you of somebody's grandpa, And then Donald Trump. I just don't see where he is the one that goes to gold. Because they have basically tried to crucify him in so many ways that if it was him and he just went back into office, there would always be question of whether that was a coup. And how do you do it so that the sleeping giant that is the public, what do you tell the masses so that they will still have some kind of faith in a government structure? It has to be somebody who's not on either side. Can't be Biden, can't be Trump. Has to be somebody designated to step in when the world's in chaos and in some kind of intermediate, in between time, and say, well, sorry, this really should be done by a president, but dollar's crashing, everything's going to shit, and this is what we're going to do. And everybody's like, oh, okay. Yeah. Because they know, just with the debate, did you see the CNN poll? I don't know why that's funny to me, why they laughed, and I don't know. Interesting that they would actually put that one out there. Why would they do that? It turned everybody, even his own side, against him. 33% want Biden still? And all the memes and the jokes came after that because that's hilarious. Why would they put that out? It's interesting, or it will be interesting to find out if we ever do, whose side people are really on. Because if you have a poll that's so bad right before an election and you put it out, why would you put that out? Or say, do it again. Let's do it again after he, don't put that out. Change it, lie. So at this point in time, everybody's talking about how feeble Biden is and how he has to go. Okay, political's lining up. We need change. And so many Democrats, they flipped. I don't know if they flipped to Republican, but they definitely do not believe in Biden anymore. And the rest of them are just staying quiet because they're like, no, he's okay. Really? No, he's not. So at this point in time, you cannot sit there and listen to anybody that says it's not happening, or this isn't real, or everything's going to stay the way that it always was. Because the way that it always was is failing. And it's become very evident to me in hindsight that the plan is real. Because if it were true that they had won, the pandemic would have been terrible. We would already be into the Great Reset. They would have done all of that. They didn't. It got real quiet. So, this may be a moving plan. I put out an estimate on what I believe from what I've heard and what I'm getting from the divine and the way everything seems to be lining up and what everybody else is saying. Well, most of it what Gabriel told me for the timeline, so I put that out. And you gotta be brave to do that. And everybody's like, don't put out dates. It's like, well, then stop asking me for them. Everybody and their mother asks me for dates. I'm going to put it out. If it's wrong, it's wrong. Kind of got used to that. Okay? This has been a moving plan. They move and they weave and they, in war, take a look at it. as if it were a war. You can never predict who's hiding in the bushes or where the landmines are. You got a basic plan, you got a basic operation, but there has to be room within that plan to move, to achieve, and then many different side plans to achieve the same goal. And that's what we've been living through. And it's so frustrating. And how, in the beginning, they had to make Trump basically the savior. Why? So that the entire public didn't lose hope. The entire public didn't rebel and would just have chaos. They had to keep a certain portion of the population as their core, true, diehard followers who knew somewhat about the plan, but in such a way that does not reveal the plan. So that's where the QPOs come in. That's where the truthers come in. That's where the intel comes in. That's where the misinformation comes in. That's where it all comes in. So that there is a growing large proportion of society on the surface and below who don't give up and who don't give in and who don't believe what they're selling on the bad side. And that is us. And faith is not easy. And I have always told you that. But it's worth it. Always. Always worth it. And there is something, and although the doubt creeps in, there is a knowing within you that knows that we will get there one day. And sometimes you just got to be strong enough to listen to that instead. Well, then all the rest of the people and all their doubt and their mass and their, this is fine, this is fine, this is okay, yes, control me, yes, do all these things. Yes, I'm going to believe in, I don't want to think for myself, I'm going to believe in these talking heads on these news programs. I don't want to wake up because that's too much work. Even when you got all of them chattering and their numbers are getting smaller and smaller. Really small. They just did not do the work to know. And they were not brave enough to know. And they were not strong enough to know. And knowing is a burden that you carry. And in the end will be your greatest strength. Because we have all grown, and we have all grown stronger. And we are coming up on the finale. And that is absolutely true. You cannot have the political without the financial. You cannot have the financial without some political. But the way that has to line up, let's see if I wrote that down. Where am I at? Hang on. Time. Look at the time. Just a second. Oh, good. Okay, we're good. I think I wrote that down. All right. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Epstein transcripts are ordered to be released. The news cycle worldwide is focused on the political. The RV happens, so the world is ready to go to gold. I already basically put that. I just really think that we're going to start to see some major things to line the political up for removal. So we're ready. They flipped the switch. Okay, we pulled in the currency into the countries. Then we're going to need the United States to pull the currency in, okay? That's after the announcement to go to gold. So they're going to say, oh, we've got our RV now. Then you got your in-country RVs. The U.S. RV is going to be big because you've got dollars worldwide. We need to pull in the instruments of debt. And what happens to the other debt? It's gone. So it's all going to happen, and I think it's going to be boom, 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 boom. WTO. Really? Iraq. So put the pieces together for yourself, but right now just don't get so wrapped up. And whether it's real or not, it is. It's all real. Take a look at a lot of times if you really want somebody to know something, like if you had an employee you had to train, the best way to train somebody is not just to tell them what they're supposed to do, tell them why. Well, this is what we do. This is how we do this. And me, I'm annoying. My parents drove my parents crazy with the why questions. I'll say, why? And they'll say, don't worry about why. Just do it. I'm like, nope, that's not enough for me. I need to understand why we're doing this. So, because if I understand why we're doing this, then I'll really know how to do it. So take a look back now. Take a step back from the situation, emotionally separate from it, and start going back over everything we know, everything we've witnessed, and everything that is happening now. And you will see how it's all coming together. And if anybody else tells you that this RV is not real, well, they just handle them like a child. Because they are underinformed or uninformed. And they don't have enough information to know that it's real. Okay? Now, as far as how much we're going to get, we don't know. We have estimates. It's going to be really good. I'm telling you, it's going to be really good. It's going to be really fun. This is going to be fun. Okay? But we've got a lot to watch. Now, we'll keep an eye out for the Gentel bullet points coming into the news, and we've also got some last week that came in. Gentel confirmations. And if I could do that, and if I could talk to Jesus when people come to me, not that I'm right all the time. I told you, we got to get through my human filters. Okay? It just depends on how well I interpreted the information that was sent to me. Doesn't mean that anybody's lying to me. But if I could, being a medical intuitive is my strongest gift. And people come to me when the doctors can't find out what's wrong. And if I can stand there with Jesus and look at a silhouette of you while you're on the phone with me, know nothing about your medical history, and from the top of your head to the bottom of your feet, tell you everything that's wrong with you inside your body, explain that. Now tell me Jesus isn't real. Now tell me God isn't real. Everything is real somewhere. This RV is real. The plan is real. The good guys are real. The bad guys are real. And it's all coming to a head. And this is going to be fun. So, I'm thinking, as a mom, now, we need to go back through our reserves, okay? You're all going to go out and get 4th of July stuff. Maybe get a little bit more, okay, if you can. Or, and canned goods are good past the date, okay? I'm just telling you. Maybe not the meat, but, like vegetables and things. But we might want to make sure we have no idea what's going to happen with these minions hiding in the woods and in buildings and everything everywhere. What I originally saw is when we get the EBS, it's when they pulled Biden out. Or something shortly after, when they send all the minions out to look outraged and they try to cast it as some kind of coup. Okay? You might not want to have you might not want to go to the store during that time. Doesn't mean that we're going to be locked down. We've got this ridiculous attempts at talking about another pandemic. We've got fear stories all around from the remaining minions who have any kind of voice. And we all know it's crap. But if somebody still can fund the ATM cards in these guys' pockets and send them out to create chaos, you're not going to want to go out in that. And if anybody is recruiting you online as a patriot to show up and do that, don't do it. There's a reason why we are the faithful behind the scenes. Something like that in a public is not as effective as your voice. So I don't think they want it handled that way, because I think they got it under control, and it is moving forward, and it is happening. Okay, so repeating what I know as of this moment in time, and is subject to change. It could possibly change, because that's just, it has. I am getting that it'll probably be Friday. They could send it out in the middle of the night, 4th of July. But we're looking for notifications anytime from Friday to the 8th. Really saw appointments. And this I put together and I asked and I got from individual readings for individual people, because everybody and their mother has been asking me for their RV date ever since I put out mine. And it was wrong. Mine was wrong, if this is true. So, I mean, some I gave, some I just said, I'm not even going to do that anymore. I'm not going to give you your RV date in the readings. But I think we're looking at appointments between the majority of them. There will be some scragglers who are out of the country or out of town, between the 9th and the 13th. As of this moment in time, if nobody screws it up. I do think the remaining bond people will probably have or will be getting their money within the next couple days. And you might not hear about it. All right. Got to get going. Busy, busy, busy. Got work to do. But thank you guys for listening to me. I will not be on Thursday because it's the 4th of July, and I'd probably be cooking whole bunches of stuff or out at the lake somewhere. I will be on tomorrow with Mike Barra on Real News Live with Mike and Jen on Rumble. Be there. The links to my Fallawsophy group on Telegram and the other groups I have on Telegram with the channels are in the write-up for this show. Self-promotion, please go to jenniferfallaw.com. Right now we got a deal. Buy one, get one free on the Everything Healing. If you want to stock up, that is for person or pet. That is divine. We take it to God. We take it to Jesus. And we let them do their work. And I do that in meditation. That's what a divine healing is. Love you all. Thanks for joining me today. And I will see you on Telegram. And I'll see you on live tomorrow. Have a great day.